I just got this necklace. It's tremendous. I gave it to my son, Jacer. And, just kind of look down and, play tremendous hockey when I'm wearing my tremendous necklace. It's just tremendous.
On today's Good Buds episode, we talked the defensive transformation, big goals from big boys, God of the Week, This is Egregious, cold starts for hot teams, and Sid the Kid cracks the top 10. Let's go. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 38 of the Good Buds podcast, a show about the Toronto Maple Leafs, not weed, but weed is tight. My name is Joey Belfiore. I'm here with Andrew Bascom. Andrew, I have a question for you. What is the better nickname for Anthony Stolarz? Is it Tony the Tiger? Because he's great.
Yep.
Or is it Stoli on Ice?
Whoa, Stoli on Ice. I hadn't heard that one. That's really good.
That came from my head.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Bonus points to your head. Tony the Tiger, I like. Stoli on Ice sounds like he might have died. But it's
Stoli
good.
on the Rocks? That sounds like he's on the
Rocks.
Rocks.
Not doing well. Yeah. No, it's Tony the Tiger's great because it's great.
Yeah, I think it's more like the PG version, like if you're talking to a kid.
Yeah. You'd have to explain what
Tony the
Stoli is.
Tiger.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't mind the Stoli on Ice thing.
No,
I don't know. We'll work with it. The Leafs had a great week. Played 2 games since we last talked. 2-0. Wins against Pittsburgh and LA last night. It's a lot of things to take from both these games. The biggest thing, I think, is the defensive transformation of this team from last year to this year is night and day. And obviously personnel is like so different.
So
but
different,
just the way they look, the way they play, these guys are beasts back there.
Yeah, the defense is playing so well, and I think it's to a person. There are individuals you can talk about that you're like, oh yeah, this player is playing really well, this player is playing really well, and they're for different reasons, but it's the system that seems to be 5 guys on the ice that are playing just a lot different, and the defense has been the absolute, rock of that.
Yeah, it just seems like Craig Berube, just his system that everyone has seemed to bought in pretty quickly too.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's just that Keefe's message was stale. Like I don't necessarily want to say that.
Yeah.
It just seems like this group has been together for a while. We've added some great pieces on the back end.
Yep.
All these pieces seem to lay it all on the line. Like no one really cheats.
Right.
And I think that's really important. Obviously Chris Tanev is a guy who's never going to cheat. Ekman Larson knows what it takes to win and how to lead and lead by example and can kind of play sort of any situation, which is, it's been a big surprise. A lot of people were down on the OEL signing. I think they maybe were like, is this going to be John Klingberg 2.0?
Right.
But
yes.
But are you just saying that because he's Swedish and tall?
Well, and old. I think the other part was old.
Well, he's younger than us.
He's younger than us? Well, that's meaning less and less by the day. I got to tell you that. I just think you fear that. And first of all, yes, 4 games looking great. The big side, the big negative for a lot of these signings was, oh, these guys are old. Oh no. Oh God, it was only a couple years ago we're like, God, these guys are so young. And now we became one of the older teams in the league very quickly. After 4 games, you hope that this wouldn't have fallen apart. I think that fear is still there, but the part that you're seeing on the ice is just better than I think most people expected. Chris Tanev is the stay-at-home defenseman, the defensive defenseman that we had all hoped and dreamed for one day. And every time that we got like a small glimpse into like an actual defensive defenseman, you're like, hey, you know what? Luke Schen's pretty good. And, we're doing that kind of dance like, oh, my God, we're going to trade. I think getting Tanev is like the best super version of that. And we're like, oh, this is really paying off very quickly.
Yeah. We tend to grasp onto what could be. Like the Luke Schens that come in and you get really excited. And obviously he played really well for us that playoff series. But to lose out on a guy like Luke Schenn and to replace him, I guess, a year later, obviously he wasn't with us last year, but with a Chris Tanev, that's obviously a huge improvement. Let's talk about the Pittsburgh game quickly.
Sure.
4-2 win. Tavares was out sick. He said he lost like 8 pounds.
Wow.
Over
God.
the weekend.
Where?
Which is wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, where? His ass.
Yeah,
I think
massive
like
ass.
Which isn't, you know what? I was wondering if that was going to carry over into last night's game against LA. And I would say, okay, the third line maybe was fighting it a little bit. It seemed like they were just kind of like, all right, who are we going to put together on this third line? Because we kind of like how Domi and Nylander's chemistry is going.
Yeah.
We're just going to throw, Holmberg, Tavares, and Robertson together. I wasn't the biggest fan of that line.
No.
But he played well on the power play. He created chances. He created offense. He got one.
Another one, yeah.
So, I mean, to come off a sickness like that, to lose 8 pounds, and to put up some numbers is pretty impressive.
Well, yeah, they played the first 3 games so quickly. They, like 3 games in, 4 days or whatever it was. And then
Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday.
Yeah, and then you get a Saturday to Wednesday break. And that it clearly showed. Like, thank God we did, because it looks like there's a few things that we're going to be talking about injury and sickness-wise that's kind of kicking up a little bit. But they did look a little bit better. And for those first 2 periods in that Kings game, that's about as dominant as it's going to get there. Like, that was just a thorough ass-kicking. And why? What are you going to say? Do you believe me or not?
Well, okay. The first period was a thorough ass kicking.
Okay.
And the second period, obviously we outscored them 2-0 in the second.
Yeah.
But the Leafs do this. When they go up 3-0 in the first period, they tend to let the other team push.
Right.
And what was impressive about last night is they stayed calm and didn't let the push. They didn't break.
Okay.
Which was nice.
Yeah.
Because LA came out and were all over us at the beginning of that second period.
Yeah.
Stolarz played so well, I thought. And then in the third, yeesh,
yikes.
We were outshot 10-1 in the third, and LA had 2 goals, and that's when Berube called his timeout. I read his lips.
Yeah.
Basically, he said, "Get to work and wake the fuck up."
That's great.
And then they woke up,
which
is nice. I thought the timeout was taken at the right moment. You don't want that game to get away from you. Like, this is an LA team who just gave up 8.
Yeah.
An Ocho burger just before that to Ottawa. So you don't want to let a 5-0 lead slip away because, I mean, we're Leaf fans. I don't know if you remember that one years ago with Cujo and net 5-0 against St. Louis going into the third period. We lose 6-5 in overtime. That one still scars me.
Yeah.
But yeah,
the more recent ones you could point to too.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Let's just circle back to the Pittsburgh game for a second.
Sure.
I thought for me a big takeaway was the Matthew Nyes breakout. Some things that I really like is like Matthew Nyes is like old school dump and chase.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love how he dumps and chases.
Yeah.
He is like Pat Quinn hockey, where he's just going to throw it in the corner and he's going to chase after it and then use his big old body to throw his body around and get possession back. And that's how he scored.
Yes. Yeah,
that Matthew Nyes goal was constructed that way, and it was beautiful to see. Obviously, there's a lot of talk about him gaining 10 pounds and looking just crazy big this year.
Right.
This guy is the sky's the limit for him. I'm really excited about 2-3. Matthew Nyes, man.
Oh, it's amazing. He looks like when you create like NHL 25 and you're going to play NHL 25 and you're going to be a superstar or whatever and you're going to create a player. And if you choose the archetype of power forward, that's kind of the guy that shows up and they're like, edit this guy. And you're like, okay, cool. He does. And he's looked like that for a couple of years where he's got these big shoulders, he's a tall guy, big chiseled jaw. And you're like, wow, that guy's going to be a power forward. But you keep forgetting that he was a child and he was a child in a man's body. And you're like, God, when this guy fills out, it's going to be crazy. And it just feels like we just said that out loud and then all of a sudden it happened. Like he showed up this year and you're like, oh, there he is. This is the guy. Like, and it's just something so different than what we've had on this roster for so long. Not only is he a homegrown talent, it's just he's able to bring something that hasn't been there on the roster. And God, it's like a breath of fresh air the way he's able to move into the corner.
Yeah, everyone talked about the hole at left wing.
Yeah.
Everyone made such a big deal about losing Tyler Bertuzzi. Like, where are those goals going to come from? Like, do we not forget that it took Tyler Bertuzzi like a year to score his first goal?
Yeah.
He ended up potting 20, but
I get, yeah. It's
Bobby
spite.
McMann is gonna provide some of those goals. Matthew Nyes is gonna provide some of those goals. Like, I'm not too worried about losing Tyler Bertuzzi's offensive or lack thereof production.
That's a player that I just, honest to God, thank God. I know he's talented and I know he's going to do well with Chicago, I guess. But it's just him missing shots, just like routinely, or falling down. It's just like highlights I just will not miss. Like him just in the slot and whoa, just on his ass. You're like, okay, all right, that's awesome. Fun stuff.
Yeah. Plays live and die. No, they don't live. Plays die on the stick of Tyler Bertuzzi.
Yes, where plays go to die, yeah.
But 6-2 last night. Very encouraging win.
Yeah.
Obviously, we kind of talked about the letting, other teams are going to push. That just happens in hockey, especially when they're down. I loved how we responded when Berube stepped in and said, hold on a fucking second. Let's not let this get away from us. How did you feel Timothy Liljegren played? He got his first game action of the year.
Yeah.
What do you think?
It was fine. I think it was totally fine. I think that for a bottom pair defenseman, you're putting a lot of focus on him just because of the way that this relationship is going, and clearly they'd had to play him because of something we talked about on the last episode. But you need to advertise him a little bit. You need to put him out there to show that he still can play. And he played, and you're like, yeah, okay, all right. And I don't know what more opinion you need from him being a bottom pair defenseman. You're like, oh, okay, yeah, that was totally fine. He didn't seem to make any gigantic mistakes, but I don't think he contributed in a huge way either. I will say, like, Timmins is the opposite who he's tapping in for. Timmins is the opposite, where he will make mistakes and you go, God damn, Connor Timmins, but then he'll also make a pass or a certain shot where you're like, whoa, that was pretty good. But that variance is a little troubling when really the bottom pair of defensemen, you're not really supposed to be providing that. You're supposed to be providing some level of stability. So they're just providing two different things. What did you see?
No, there's some good and some bad. I was looking at it like way too intensely.
Yeah,
like every time he was on the ice, I'm like, what the fuck's about to happen?
Yeah.
Like, are you about to do something amazing or terrible?
Yeah.
And no, I thought it was fine. There was a couple nice breakout passes he made. There was a couple times I thought he tried to jump into the rush and got bodied off the puck that I wasn't the biggest fan of.
Right.
Took a dumb penalty, but
yep.
I mean, was that a soft call? Maybe.
But yeah.
Seems like that's just kind of the theme around the league this year.
Yeah,
but,
lots of soft
that's
calls.
always the theme. So, like, how can you just predict the way the refs are going to call anything? But yeah, I thought it was fine. I thought it was a little interesting that Max Pacioretty came out of the lineup.
Yes.
But Berube said, just a decision I made. Not everybody can play every night, and I think that just speaks to the team's depth. And like, even Max said he didn't like his most recent game, and he still has a lot to do to get back to where he needs to be.
Yeah, but I don't think this is like I don't know. Yes, I think of course a little bit of his performance, but like he's coming off so many injuries. He is, the ability to sit is one that we should use. It's the same with Ryan Reeves. He is great when he's on rest. He plays much, much better. It's very clear. And Max Pacioretty, speaking about our age, is pretty close to our age. And like I think he does need the rest every once in a while. And if we have the ability to do it with somebody like Bobby McMann, who by the way should not be coming out of the lineup, I think that's something we should just talk about.
That probably won't happen ever again.
I got whatever. I'm going to be talking about him in a brief bit here, but it's just of the rotation players, we have that ability. He should not be the one removing, but if we're rotating guys like Pacioretty and Ryan Reeves in, that's a great ability that we should have. And I just don't want it to be like Toronto media thing where we're like, oh, he sits. Let's stick 20 microphones in his face and be like, so how do you feel about that? It's like, oh, God damn it.
Yeah. It's just no nonsense from Chief. Just like,
yep.
Just a decision I made.
Yeah. It's
Not everyone can play every night.
wow, that is getting pretty good. How you been working on that?
it's gonna take me a while. Like I was working on my Sheldon for a bit,
Yes.
with his, and he had to like touch his mouth every time he made something.
Yeah.
Made a statement. But yeah, I'll work on my Chief. We'll see where it gets to by like January.
I like it. If you know what the best part about Craig Berube might be that he feels very physically threatening, and I like that, and I think that's good for the press. And then the other thing is just be so wildly uninteresting, and they'll just be like, okay, we're not going to go to him for a quote because we're not getting anything out of this guy.
Gives you nothing, yeah.
Where Sheldon, you could poke, and he's like, okay, Jesus Christ, and he would like just like kind of flip out a little bit, and you're like, there we go, yeah, very good.
And you're like, Sheldon, go apologize. What did you say?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I
Go
offended Mitch Marner.
apologize.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty funny that obviously Drew Doughty was not in the lineup. He
Yep.
is dealing with a broken ankle and is going to be out for a while. But he said to his team, "We don't lose in Toronto, boys." So sorry, Drew.
Sorry, Drew.
It's like that same like Mark Scheifele like what nothing better than beating the Leafs type thing.
Yes.
Where just like everyone seems to get up for us, and it's nice to not let them get that satisfaction.
Well, there is a nice reoccurring trend now between Scheifele saying that and us shellacking the Jets every time that he said that. Since he said that. And now Drew Doughty says the same thing. We beat him 6-2. It's like, you know what? Talk more shit. This is great. I love it. Like, I think you get this like gentle giant nonsense. I think like the Yankees get that too, where you got to be like Aaron Judge, best player in the world, has to say nothing interesting because he plays for the New York Yankees. He can't be like, fuck those guys. Like, I want to destroy them. You're like, no. And I want a little bit of grit there. I love this.
Mm-hmm. It is nice. 3 points for Austin Matthews, 3 points for Mitch Marner. The coming out party for the first line, we knew it was not going to take that long, and I don't want to call it any sort of a slump. This was a line that was buzzing every single game, and people just want to make a story of like, why doesn't Austin Matthews have 6 goals yet? It's gonna come. Well, the first year he scored 60. He scored 1 in his first 6 games.
Right.
So chill out.
Oh, Joey, I was so ready. I was so ready when we were going to do this podcast and we're watching the game last night. And the first couple of goals he scored, and it wasn't Austin Matthews. And I was going to be like, oh, here we go. First thing off the top is, so Matthews, overrated or the worst player of all time? You know, what's going on here? That being said, so he has 1 goal through 4 games now. Mm-hmm. Do you think he scores more than 60 goals this year?
I'm going to be honest. I don't care.
Okay.
I do not care.
Interesting.
Like I said before,
that hurts, but yeah, okay.
This is about winning the division and having as strong of a team season. I don't give a shit about milestones anymore. We did it last year where we were chasing 60 and then we were chasing 70, and Nylander, there was a point where like, could he get 50? And it's just like, I don't care about individual stats anymore with this team because it's so nice to have these players who can put points on the board in bunches and have otherworldly highlight reel goals and assists and whatnot. But at the end of the day, I want to win this division so effing badly so that it sets us up in the first round as best as possible. So don't care. As long as we're winning games, I do not care.
Yeah, fair enough. I think he does it. But yeah, okay. That's fine.
That's fair. No, I mean, like, why would you bet against them?
Well, yeah, exactly. Like you were saying a couple seasons ago, where he's the ability to score in bunches, and even that one, you could tell there was a little bit of relief or a little bit of like, let's fucking go in his attitude when he scored the goal. That he was like, okay, finally, good, because he almost chokes the pass away, misses the fans on the shot, and then buries it in something that even in the instant replay I can barely see it go in the net. It goes in. So
I could not see it go in the net.
Holy smokes! He snaps that right over his glove in just a blink of an eye kind of thing, and it's already back out by the circle by the time you realize it's in the net.
Yeah, not so big save Dave, but
yeah, I know. I thought about that. Yeah,
Dave didn't have a chance on that one.
No.
So no ill wills to David Riddick.
Yeah,
thanks for coming in and being our 4th goalie a couple years ago. Another thing about this game before we move on into season topics, the traffic beaters suck. They suck.
Well, I know.
You're winning 6-2 and the entire golds and platinums are empty to cheer on the team in the last 2 minutes. Yeah. Enjoy the win. Give them a standing O. Clap.
I know.
Cheer.
I know, especially, this just speaks to a tax bracket that you and I are not currently in, but is that, with the prices of the tickets, you and I are going on Monday, and we have paid our way. We are going to go. We paid our actual hard-earned dollars. You're going to have to rip me out of that chair until the end of the goals, end of the horn there, because it's one of the few games we're going to go to this year, and it's something I'm going to savor. But these people just obviously don't appreciate that, and they're already gone, start of the third, and you're like, oh, okay, well, this just sucks.
Yeah, and it's like, I get, you're coming in from, if you're not living downtown, you're coming in from Mississauga or Scarborough or Oakville or wherever, you're driving in. There's going to be traffic at any time. Yeah. I don't care if you're leaving with 10 minutes left, with 5 minutes left after the game. It's going to be, we live in Toronto.
Yeah.
There is traffic.
Yeah, heads up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of something we're known for at this point is traffic's really bad. I love the idea that, if 18,000 people all had individual cars and had to drive out, and you're like, oh, the traffic got really bad. I'm like, in the city of a couple million? Yeah, it's pretty bad, dude. It's whatever. I don't understand it. It always looks bad, but, and it's the same conversation we could have about, it sounds so deathly quiet in there, especially even the home opener on Saturday. Holy God, I don't know. You sometimes doubt, you're like, did they mic the audience? Is there a mic out there? Or is the crowd just really that bad? It's probably just really
We'll see on Monday.
Yeah, I guess so.
We'll bring it on Monday and we'll see. But the one thing I do like seeing is sometimes when you see a team in overtime and as soon as the goal goes in, the guys just get right out of their chair and start sprinting.
Sprinting, yeah.
That I like. That I'm like, yeah, okay, the game's over. I understand that. You don't necessarily have to stay for the 3 stars. I understand that.
Yeah. They've stopped serving drinks. You can leave now. It's okay.
Yeah. So the illness bug is back, and should I say, like, has it ever left?
Well,
because it seems like this
yeah.
team is always sick, dating back to last year, the year before.
Yeah.
Just always something that's going around that dressing room. I'm assuming this is probably happening with other teams. We just don't follow them closely.
Right.
But it just seems like everyone is sick at all times, and it's like, oh my Lord. I guess that's just the world we live in. I mean, wherever you work, people are sick.
Yeah, like I will say, mid-October, as the weather changes, is a popular time for everyone to get sick. Just ask the two hosts of this podcast. The only thing that you separate yourself a little bit is that you go, look at this multi-billion-dollar franchise. You would assume, because of all the coaches and the health departments and everything that they're able to get, that like they would somehow be immune to that, or there's some kind of secret that they know that we don't. Because they're rich and we're poor, but they don't, and they just keep getting sick, and it's almost like more concerning. That's just like, oh, what are you gonna do? Like, John Tavares is gonna lose 8 pounds. That's what happens.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. I guess it just is another reason to highlight depth, because you never know when you're gonna lose someone on any given night, where it's gonna be a surprise, like it was in the playoffs last year with Austin. Or early in the year, now we're seeing with both John and Willie, almost missed, was a game-time decision and ended up playing
great.
Awesome.
Yeah, I know.
Which is going to lead me
so well
into my God of the Week.
God of the Week!
Obviously, we're looked upon as, kind of gods here, to be honest.
I think that's enough time for the
I think that's probably it.
Yeah. Basically, this is a new segment we're doing this year. We're going to highlight our God of the Week every single week. This doesn't have to be a player. It could be a coach, media member, whoever. Because they get treated like gods here.
They do.
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong. There's even fans starting podcasts about the team. It's crazy.
Yeah. All right. My God of the Week is William Nylander. Holy cannoli. So, was
crazy.
sick, and you couldn't tell. 2 goals against Pittsburgh, a goal and assist last night against LA, 4 points in his last 2 games this week. That is good enough to be the God of the Week. But most importantly, he is the power play slump buster. An 0 for 11 stretch has been broken.
Yeah.
And who better to do it than Willie Nye, the scoring guy? Because
Will.
He just... This is what Berube preaches on the power play. Just attack the net and get shots to the net. If you look at Willie's goal, his power play goal last night, that was not a clean look.
No.
He had a defender in front of him, but get pucks to the net, and he places it beautifully. We know he has an amazing shot, so why not just attack? Just an unreal shot.
Yeah.
An unreal monkey off the back, because then they get another one in the next power play.
Yep.
I thought the power play looked solid last night. 4 opportunities. The first one was great. We then just take a penalty midway through. The second one was shit-ass, but, it's been shit-ass, so give it some time. And then the last 2 were great. I thought Willie was all over the ice last night.
Yeah.
That pass to Bobby McMann was incredible.
Amazing.
Incredible.
Yeah.
It was like a quarterback leading a receiver over the shoulder, sending him on a go route. It was beautiful to watch. William Nylander is the guy who, when the going gets tough, just pulls the team out from wherever it needs to be and gets back to how they can play. God of the Week, number 88, Willie Nylander.
Oh, absolutely. No, that's a great choice, especially coming off that LA game. The thing that I want to talk about just before I get to my God of the Week is going to be that power play. So OEL moved to the power play. This is a big difference. In the first couple of games, we were talking about how bad the power play was, and going into the LA game, it looked bad. But that switch over those 4-day difference of him being the quarterback has shown to be immediately looks so much better. Like, it's unbelievable.
Because he has just not because it's like Morgan Riley is gifted offensively. It's not to say that he's not, but I just think OEL has a nose for the net and is going to, rather than keep passes on the perimeter and look for the perfect sort of play, it's more just about get your opportunities on net, drive the net, keep the puck going north and south, where sometimes I feel like Morgan on the power play sort of gets away from. OEL was going to be my God of the Week, and then Willie just kind of exploded last night, so I switched. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of gods in Sweden right now.
Boy, is there. Asgard. Okay, so for mine, it's going to be Bobby McMann. How can it not be? Bobby McMann is one of these ones where, so like, I don't mind advanced stats. I know it's like this weird thing of like, blaming stuff that you don't really understand. And for the most part, I like them because they're explaining to something about hockey that I don't understand. Now, here's the thing. Bobby McMann doesn't always have the best advanced stats, but he does have one stat that I think we can all agree on. He puts pucks in the goddamn net. Every time he plays, it seems like he's doing something incredibly dangerous or putting the puck in the net. And I can't really explain it because it's not like he's the fastest guy. It's not like he's the biggest guy, but it's just one of these things where he has this touch that he scores goals. And it's got to be God of the Week because he is playing himself into a position where we can no longer take him out of the lineup. Like, I think it's honestly getting like that where you go, you can't sit him now, right?
You can't.
No.
You can't.
No.
Berube said it last night. He's a power forward. That's how he should think the game. Skate in straight lines.
Okay.
Because Bobby McMann is a 200-foot player.
Yeah.
He's not a 200-foot player like Austin Matthews or Mitch Marner are.
Right.
He's not going to bring that brilliance where you're like, your eyes pop out of your ass. But, like, he just is so, I think, responsible and has a shot where 30 feet and in,
right,
he can score. And I think, like, you look at that line with Max Domi and William Nylander, who are developing some serious chemistry, which I really like. They're so offensively gifted. Both tend to, I don't want to say cheap, but like aren't really the best defensive players. I think Bobby McMann is the perfect third on that line to give them some defensive responsibility.
Right.
And I'd like to see that line stick together. I thought it was great last night. I thought it was great on Saturday. So big dick Bobby McMann.
Absolutely. God of the Week. Like, God.
Who wants some McMann meat? I do.
I do. How could I not?
So Anthony Stolarz obviously had a great game last
Yes.
night. He's been great every single time he's been in the net. Things happen like really quick in sports. This is a what have you done for me lately industry.
Absolutely.
So I will ask you.
Yeah.
Has Stolarz taken the 1A title already? I'm not going to say has he taken the starting job, but has he taken the 1A title already? Where if Joseph Wall is healthy and you got a back-to-back, are you playing Anthony Stolarz against the quote-unquote stronger team?
I think it's hard to say that he hasn't in the way that when Wall comes back, that's the way it's going to be for a bit. It'll have to be up to Wall to prove that he can stay, first of all, healthy, and second of all, that he's looking okay. So I think just by the nature of the injury, yes, that is absolutely true. Now, in Game 82, that will be more of the question. If Game 1 of the playoffs, that's more of the question. I still think they believe Wall will be the starting goaltender in Game 1 of the playoffs. But I think for the foreseeable future, we're going to see Stolarz in more of the featured role. I know that's kind of couching my answer a little bit, but I also think that's actually true, too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, what do you think?
I would like to order a Stoli on ice.
Classic alcoholic drink. Vodka and ice.
Yeah. Basically, I just think that this is a guy who has never been able to... this was the first time he's started 3 games in a row.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
Wait, he didn't start 3 games in a row.
He will.
Okay,
I'm assuming he's going to get the start on Saturday against the Rangers. This will
Right.
be the first time in his career he starts 3 games in a row in the NHL.
Okay.
I think this is a guy who just wants the net, and if he's playing like this, you just can't take it from him. Like, obviously, this is a small sample size. We're 4 games in. We're 3 starts into Anthony Stolarz's Maple Leafs career.
Yeah.
But based on the way he's played, if Joe Wall comes back, I think you're favoring Anthony Stolarz because also you don't want to push Joe Wall because he's the tweak monster. So I think you, on the one hand, like you said, you got to be careful. But on the other hand, how can you take really time away from a stretch of goaltending that's been, we never saw a stretch like this last year where we felt as comfortable with a goalie in there like we did last year at any point.
No.
From October to April at any point. So, like, we've got New York on Saturday. I'm assuming Stolarz gets a start there. And then you've got a back-to-back Monday and Tuesday.
Right.
Monday against Tampa, Tuesday against Columbus. You would assume, if Joe Wall is healthy, that Joe Wall gets the Tuesday in Columbus, right?
Yeah, I guess. You see how he feels if he's going to do the 4th start in a row. Considering he's never done 3 in a row. I think you see the Monday and then maybe bounce back somewhere on Tuesday, or see how Wall's doing, because we assume he's going to be back. That's the word, is that it isn't something
he's
serious.
Skating, but they still have no timetable. But that's the thing with him, right? It's like it's not something serious, but like he still has the ability to miss time when it's not something serious.
Yeah.
So I just don't know.
Yeah, that's the scary
don't
part.
know.
Yeah, I know. I don't know either. I guess you see how Saturday goes, and if it's like, a 45 save, maybe he gets this the Monday off anyway, and you kind of go from there. But yeah, because you're right, because Columbus obviously is going to be one of the worst teams in the league, if not the worst team in the league, and you want to win that Tampa game at home. So I agree with you. I think it was always going to be a pretty big split, even without the Wall injury. So, like, that, I don't think that really changes in a big way. It's just which games are featured for Stolarz versus Wall.
Yeah, and I think, you've got two polarizing teams Monday and Tuesday.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I don't know if I want to give Joe Wall his first start of the year after coming off a tweak. We're assuming he's healthy at this point. Against a team like Tampa, who has not lost yet.
Nope.
They've only played 2 games, but they look good. Kucherov is all-worldly, so I just I'm going to boo the fudge out of him on Monday.
Oh, yeah.
Every time he touches the puck, we should be booing.
He will hear from us. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
You hear that, Nikita?
Yeah.
You're going to hear from 2 guys
Uh-huh.
who are nowhere near the athlete that you are.
No.
And we're just going to boo you relentlessly because we have nothing better to do.
Yeah, I like the idea that if we both tried to fight him, he would kill both of us. Like, I like the idea it's like 2-on-1,
Yep.
and he would still kick the absolute crap out of both of us. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, that's too bad.
Yeah.
I think you're right, but God, the Joe Wall thing skating, it's like, it actually is scarier because the longer it takes for him to get back and he's skating, you're like, oh no, like this is worse somehow. Like you think it's good news, but it actually turns out to be bad news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see. I guess just monitoring practice in the next couple days and listening to Brew-Bay's Media Daily.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
That's what we will do.
All right, let's get into This Is Egregious.
This is egregious!
Egregious!
This is egregious!
All right, as we all know, Leaf Nation is no stranger to exaggeration or overreaction. We've all done it. We say ridiculous things. The media says ridiculous things. We see ridiculous things. This segment is to highlight how egregious certain things can get in Toronto.
Yep.
And why it's just insane. So, mine is
Okay.
the Hockey Central panel. I'm sitting down to watch the game last night, and Sportsnet goes on, and the panel is in front of me, and I'm like, all right, David Amber is the host, and we've got Luke Gadzik,
Yep.
Jen Botterill, and Sam Cosentino.
Same cousin.
How is this the panel, the A-team in the mecca of hockey? I don't understand how Sportsnet has not enough money to say to a player, former player, because we know so many of them live here, regardless if they played for the Leafs or not, to be like, hey, come do Wednesday night hockey for us. I mean, the Saturday panel is fine. I think Kevin BX is great. I like Elliot Freeman. But I just don't understand, and this is not a knock on any one of them individually because I know they've all paid their dues. They're all trying their best. They all have a boatload of experience. But for me, it's not about stats and who can tell me some interesting, pieces of information that I don't know. To me, it's about being entertained.
Yes.
And I think none of them really bring that entertainment where I'm like, all right, I'm going to go make food. It's an intermission.
Oh, absolutely. I just okay. I agree with you. I just don't know how you're right. How is this our A team? How is this the team that they're like, they got to feature these guys? And the other one too is because they all lack chemistry. I'm dancing around this topic here, but they're just uninteresting, right? They're not something you want to watch on television. And at the end of the day, this is a television program that you're supposed to be entertaining. Yes, I understand you all understand lots about hockey. I'm not going to start doubting that. But at the end of the day, you want to deliver it in a fun and funny way. And because none of them have chemistry with each other, they all do this like forced laugh thing. And they're like it's the fucking funniest thing you've ever heard of. And you're like, and it's only highlighting more how it's not funny. And then you're sitting there going like, did I miss a joke that I don't? Are they using words I don't understand? Like it's just brutal to think that Sportsnet pays billions of dollars for this, and then this is the product that they deliver. Ugh.
Yeah, it's just because I mean, you look at TNT and ESPN. We unfortunately don't get to tune in, but look at their panels. It's not only is it full of like former Hall of Famers, which I think adds something.
Oh yeah,
it doesn't always have to be that, but I mean, it's not like Biz had anything more than a cup of coffee in the league. He's insanely entertaining.
Yes. And they could have got him. They could have got him. He was sitting on a couch.
I just think there's got to be someone who lives in Toronto,
Yeah.
whether it's a former Leaf or a former NHLer, who they can just be like, hey, can you come in once a week and do this for us for a couple hours? Because I just don't understand how that's the A-team. I thought Kevin Bieksa was probably the smartest move that they have made in a long time. I think he's very entertaining. I think he's very funny. That's what you need. I'd like to see more of it. I don't want to have to put myself through that during the pregame and the intermission, because I'd like to watch pregame. I like to watch the intermission, and it's just such a big contrast between TSN, which I think is great.
Yeah.
Like, I love their panel.
Yeah.
Jeff O'Neill is like pure entertainment.
Yes.
James Duthie's a great host.
James Duthie is a big upgrade because he actually has a personality, and he could tee them up for something that's actually funny. That's the important part too. Like,
They have better chemistry. Like Cheryl Pounder, Darren Dreger. Like, Darren Dreger gets on my fucking nerves, but
I
like
can't stand him.
at least he brings like some sort of emotion out of me. You know
Yeah,
what I
but
mean?
then in the dark shadows comes Craig Button, and he's like, "Hey, everybody!" And you're like, "Get the fuck out of here!
keep him
Fuck
off.
you.
Yeah, keep him off.
Get
TV.
out of here!
Keep him off TV.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's my egregious.
Joey, I'm sure that's the last time we're going to ever talk about the way that hockey is presented on television this season. Okay, my egregious is going to be John Tavares miraculously made a big recovery and was able to play on Wednesday. And I think it's mostly because of this new amulet that he is being sponsored by. I didn't even write down. So have you not heard about this?
No.
Okay, so he is sponsoring and hawking a product made by Aries, who he is an investor in.
Like the horoscope sign?
Yeah, like it's spelled the same way, I think. So
Okay.
this amulet supposedly has the power to protect its wearers from corruptible and corrupting signals, such as those emitted by phones and Wi-Fi routers. So that's supposedly he says health is a big deal, and I like to build my immunity and be as healthy as possible, which we know is true. And so this is the baffling part to me, is we know he's true because the other guys talk about it, that he is like so strict with his diet. He brings his own olive oil on the road and like things like that, where he's like,
He's got kombucha on tap at home.
Yes, like that kind of stuff. He's like very strict, and
Yeah.
it doesn't stop with his jewelry, because his jewelry stops Wi-Fi signals from corrupting his brain in some way. So it is also sponsored by former MLSE, current MLSE employee RJ Barrett of the Toronto Raptors, and newly right-wing Christian guy Russell Brand. So I'd probably stay away from anything that guy is touting. These things run by $125 to $500, and they are absolutely snake oil. There's no way this is real, and they're just taking your money. And I'm very
It's a
disappointed.
necklace?
It's a necklace or a wristband. I think you can wear it in many different ways in your body. Maybe an anklet. I don't know.
I just got this necklace. It's tremendous. I gave it to my son Jacer,
I like.
and just kind of look down and play tremendous hockey when I'm wearing my tremendous necklace. It's just tremendous.
I love that he is now hawked this product that is definitely fake, and has already going like, hey, my health is important, and he has already missed one of the games this year, 1 out of 4, for being sick. Probably not due to the necklace. I wouldn't say that, allegedly. But
You never know.
you never know. You can't say it didn't affect it. So my egregious is John Tavares' magic amulet.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, Johnny.
Johnny. That's probably why I lost his captaincy. Brendan Shanahan found out about this. He's like, fuck no. Get the hell out of here.
Awesome. You want to numbers game it?
Let's numbers game it. Absolutely. This is the 2.0 version of Numbers Game, a new version of the same game from last season, where I pick a number between 1 and 99, and Joey has to name 2 Leafs who have worn that number. Joey cannot name a player who is currently on the roster, and if less than 2 Leafs in the history, which is not applicable this time, have worn the number, I will let him know beforehand. For each player Joey cannot name, he will donate $5 to the You Can Play Foundation, a foundation working to ensure the safety and inclusion for all that participate in sports. Joey, are you ready?
I am ready to rock.
To recap, last time we did number 2, which was fun. This time we're going to choose a number that 34 players in Toronto Maple Leafs history have worn.
Oh, wow.
We are going to be choosing number 11, my favorite number.
Okay.
Okay.
I've got one.
You got one? Something immediately popped into your head?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I'm having trouble thinking of a second one.
Oh, that's great, because there are
Oh, no.
a lot of players. And
Oh,
not just
no.
the total number of players. There are like key players in here that you're like, oh yeah, remember? I almost forgot this guy even played for the Leafs kind of players.
Yeah. Holy sh... shit. Why can't I think of a second number 11? Uh-oh, I'm panicking now.
It's important to note there's one player that I think you're probably thinking of, but he's currently on the roster, so we can't. There is a current number 11 on the roster, so we can't use him.
Okay, I got my second. Yes.
Oh, you did it? Okay. Here we go.
Okay,
Joey,
so I'm
let us
ready.
know.
Okay, so the one that I couldn't get that it just came into my mind was Zach Hyman.
Yes, there we go. Zach Hyman, very good.
And the first one that came into my head, so I'm like, when you say the number 11, my mind goes here. Steve
Sullivan. Yes, that's exactly where my mind goes too. Steve Sullivan. Zach Hyman is the third most recent player to wear number 11. The current one on the roster is Max Domi, of course, and Colin Blackwell right after Zach Hyman.
Oh, yeah.
The player before Zach Hyman that's one of those, oh yeah, was he on the team? Olli Jokinen wore it in 2015. Jay McClement, Yuri Tolusti. Owen Nolan was right there. Yes. Owen Nolan, 2003-2004, and right before that was Nick Antropov, wore it for a season. Steve Sullivan. Mike Gardner, of course, famous Mike Gardner, number 11, Hall of Famer.
Mr. Fast.
Gary Lehman, Bruce Boudreau, Ron Wilson, Guy Trottier, famous number 11s all over the place.
That's funny that Nick Antropov, who's still employed by the Leafs, wore number 11, because he wore he wore 9, he wore 80, and he wore 11. So the guy was just changing it up.
Yeah, absolutely. So there you go.
Kazakhstan.
This is one of the reasons I knew what Kazakhstan was as a kid was because of Nick Antropov.
Not because of Borat.
Not because of Borat. Because Nick Antropov came first.
All right, let's talk about some news around the league. Some surprises, some shockers.
Yeah.
The Flames are undefeated, and the Avalanche are winless.
Wow. Who saw
What's
this
more
coming?
surprising to you?
Avalanche being winless. Even though I think most people say Flames, but the Avalanche just talenting themselves into a win. But they're starting goaltending right now. Woof.
Yeah, so here's the thing. Like, obviously we've talked about the Avs in we've looked at them in such a highlight for a long time.
Yeah.
Look at them past that first line. It is not as deep of a team as I think we all think it is.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That first line is crazy. And then it kind of falls off, and I'm just not sure that I'm the biggest Georgiev buyer.
Yeah.
So, interesting. I don't know. I'm going to go with the Flames just because I thought they were going to be really bad. And they might still be really bad. I remember a Phil Kessel season from the Leafs where we started 4-0 and we missed the playoffs. So that's still probably going to happen to Calgary, but very surprising. Good for them.
Yeah, good for them. They really have one... Well, they got a couple of good players, but they got one player that everyone's going to probably want to trade for, and they did. They just got rid of almost everyone last year, so it's kind of surprising to see them do that, but it's good because it kind of counterbalances the other Alberta team who is not playing well at all.
Yeah.
Edmonton.
The Oilers are off to a slow start again.
Yeah.
So, what's the plan here, Edmonton? You don't want to do this again because I don't think your plan is to fire the coach and then all of a sudden turn it around. That was really a turnaround that they really needed to go on a run, and they went on a run. So, I don't know. I don't think Lightning is going to strike twice in that same way, so I think they got to get it in gear pretty soon here.
Well, yeah, they can't just expect to, just turn it on when they want to, because it barely works.
Right fucking now!
Oh, wow. Is that
Sorry,
a clip
I'm
from
gonna do
the...
that every episode.
Oh, please do.
Every episode.
God, I thought you were playing a clip from the Prime documentary. That was amazing. You can't just expect this to happen. What are you going to do? Fire the coach again? Just expect to all turn it around all of a sudden again? Get some amazing out-of-your-ass goaltending all of a sudden again? It's just... There is patterns that are going to be harder and harder to replicate if this is what you're expecting to play like.
Yeah. So this is interesting to see it 2 years in a row. I mean,
Yeah.
it's only 4 games, I think, for them. But
yes.
You don't want to let that snowball keep rolling.
No, God, especially for a team that everybody, it felt like every predictor had them in the finals. So, yeah.
And they still might be there because they did it last year.
They did, but until then, I'm going to, dance on the grave a little bit, so.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, why not?
Sidney Crosby
Okay.
is into the top 10 all-time in points.
Awesome.
Sid the Kid, the greatest player, in my opinion, of our generation.
Yeah.
He's just... There's so much to like about Sidney Crosby, and obviously I think every Canadian is going to forever love him because of the golden goal.
Yeah.
But this is just nice. He is just... There is no decline with Sidney Crosby.
No.
It is all team. It is all class. It is all business and all hockey all the time. So it's nice to see him get rewarded. It's just now it's like how much higher can he go up the list?
Yeah, that's gonna be it's gonna be interesting because it's the same thing as kind of when you saw Ovechkin. You're like, wow, it's a lot of goals, and then he just kept climbing and climbing, and now it feels like Gretzky's an inevitability, and you kind of wonder how much further he can climb. But I'm glad to see that Crosby gets this top 10 thing because it's just one more notch into saying he's one of the best players of all time, and you can now point to more things going, look, he's top 10 points of all time. Like, oh, okay, because he's
a Rushmore guy.
He really
is a
is.
Rushmore guy.
He really is. Well, that's an episode in itself. Boy, the Rushmore of hockey ever. Interesting. But yeah, it is because you're right. He is our best modern player, and I'm glad to see him do that because he has been so consistent and he's playing great again. Which is, I guess we got to stop being surprised.
I know.
Yeah,
We're not. I'm not.
No.
Sid the Kid.
He's amazing.
Kid forever.
Amazing
Kid for
stuff.
always. As long as you're living, my Sid the Kid you'll be.
Oh wow, jeez, gonna start crying. Unbelievable. That's Sidney Crosby
All right.
holding Kyle Dubas and walking him into the rocking chair.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sad.
Taking his glasses off.
Yeah. Oh god, that
Folding
fucking
them.
book.
Yeah. Okay, if you
Wow.
made it this far, we appreciate the hell out of all you good buds. Thank you so much for listening, and go Leafs go.
Go Leafs, go.
When you're back down, when you're back down in Mexico, I hope you feel better like you wanted to then. I know we haven't time.
Furnished by Sad Styles Productions.
Get into it.